Hello and welcome to part 21 of the Tim Burton style character series. This is David Ward, and when last I left you, we had finished setting up Elizabeth's rig, getting her clothes all situated onto the rig, and then we used the cloth simulator on her dress. So now there's a few more things we need to do before we can call her done, and the first off being the shoes need to be matched up with the new rig. So we go and select those, go to our object modifiers, and go ahead. Okay, I guess they're already... I don't think I covered that in part 20. I think I did it in the meantime. So if yours are not done, go ahead and set the armature to Elizabeth rig. So, a couple more things. If we move the head around, you notice that the facial controls do not move with it. So let's turn on the layer. Let me turn on my screencast keys. There we go. Go ahead and turn on the layer that has the head bone, the deformed bone, like we did originally when we made Tim's facial controls. We'll tab into edit mode, and let's select all of these guys, and then select that, Control P, keep the offset, okay? And one other thing we can do is let's parent the look at bone to the root bone there. So we'll tab into edit mode, and I believe, is it this guy? Let's see, root, yes. So parent this bone to that bone. Control P, keep the offset, so that way the root bone definitely controls every bone. And as you can see, also the eyeballs need to be fixed up. So let's turn the layer on that has the eyeball controllers, bones. There we go. Select this eyeball, shift select the bone, Control P to the bone. There we go. Same thing on the other side, Control P to the bone. And there we go. So now when we move the head around, okay, we also need to parent these eyeball bones to the head. So select those. It's amazing how many issues you run into once you think you're done. So we'll go ahead and keep the offset there. And so now, there we go. Everything's all set up the way it's supposed to be. Okay, so go ahead and turn that layer off. And we'll go ahead and save this as, I guess I need to go ahead and save it as part 21. There we go. Save. Okay, so now, go ahead and save that. Elizabeth's all pretty well good to go. Let's jump in and open up the very last version of Tim that we had, which was part 18. And I think I need to go ahead and set the look at target for him. I think it's hidden right now. Alt-H, yeah, there it is. Go ahead and set that to be parented to the root bone as well. So let's see what layer that's on. Root, there we go. So, excuse me. Select that, shift select the root bone, go into pose mode, or tab into edit mode, and then we'll go Control P, keep the offset. Okay, so now, controls everything. Good. Okay, so I think he's pretty well set. Go ahead and save him. And now let's just create a new scene, because what I want to do is I want to bring Tim and Elizabeth into the same scene. So I'm just going to create a new scene, and we're going to reload the startup file. And let me go ahead and see if I can't turn on the screencast keys. Hopefully, sometimes when I do this, it crashes Blender, and I got to restart. So let's go ahead and start, and yes, there it did. So we'll be right back. Okay, here we go. And I go ahead and got that going before I started recording. Sometimes the screencast keys, script, and Camtasia recorder don't play well together sometimes. So anyway, so we're in just a basic default scene. Go ahead and delete out the default cube. And I'm going to go to File, Append, and I'm going to go to the Burton style folder that I have all my Tim files in. We'll go Tim part 18, and let's go to Object. And I'm going to select everything that's got Tim in it. And also, in the meantime, I renamed Tim's eyeballs instead of eyeball, eyeball and then eyeball.001. I renamed him to eyeball left and right. So same thing like we did on Elizabeth. So let's select all of these things that have Tim in front of them. There we go. All the other things are just scene elements like the camera and the lamp, and then all these other things are the custom bone shapes, and we don't need those. So just everything that's got Tim in front of it, go ahead and append that, and you can see it brings it in there nicely. And so we can grab the rig and just move it over out of the way, because now we're going to do the same thing with Elizabeth. Go and append and go up to her file, Elizabeth 21. There we go. Go to Object. Same thing we did with Tim. Everything that has Elizabeth in front. Let's go ahead and select all those. And there's a couple of less, two less things than we have for Tim. That's we don't have her pants and we don't have her tie. So there we go. So we'll just go ahead and pin those. And that brings her in like so. And another thing, side note, that I did in the meantime was Tim's tie was just cube, and I named it to Tim tie. So good to go. Okay, so let's position them in a manner that they're maybe standing for a family portrait or something. For some reason, she is not following along. Let me go ahead and save this real quick. Save as, we'll call this one Tim Elizabeth. If I can spell it correctly. Elizabeth. There we go. Underscore 21. Part 21. Go ahead and save. Okay, so for some reason she's not following the rig. So let's see what's causing that. Okay, everything's turned on there. Let's see what Tim there. And that's the problem. Tim's all set up. He's got the Tim rig parent in the relations panel under the object tab, but Elizabeth does not. So let's go ahead and set that to Elizabeth rig. There we go. And copacetic. Okay, so now we can move her over and she will follow. Okay, I guess we need to do that on the individual clothing items as well. Elizabeth rig, let's just hover over, copy that, and paste. And then the shoes. There we go. So now we'll save. Okay, let's just move her now. There we go. Okay, so get her over there, and let's kind of just rotate her around just a little bit. Now we're doing all this in object mode. We'll start posing in pose mode shortly after we get their general locations set. So just set her over here a little bit more, and maybe bring him back in. And now, like I said before, when I parented the look at targets to the root bone, now the root bone, if we go into pose mode, it scales everything. So you can make him a little bit taller if you want to. So let's go ahead and do that just a little bit taller. Okay, and now let's pop back into object mode, and let's bring him a little closer in to Elizabeth there. They're standing a nice couple portrait. About like so. Okay. Now you notice things might be lagging a little bit, so I'll tell you what, let's grab all of our models here and turn off their subsurf modifiers, or just turn off the visible part of it here in the preview mode. And make sure you're using subsurf. I've got these ordered a little oddly, it looks like. So we'll just make sure we turn subsurf off and not something on accident. There we go, and there we go. And her shirt. There we go, and I think their shoes. And finally, there. Okay. I guess we can turn her mask back on. There we go. Okay, so go ahead and save this again. And now things are running a little bit more smoothly. I guess we can turn the tie subsurf off as well. There we go. Let's go ahead and collapse all those. Okay, now save. And now we will go into edit mode for Elizabeth, or pose mode, I guess. And let's rotate her. Well, see, sometimes you can set the dress to be controlled with the cloth if you want to, the cloth dynamics, or if you wanted to get more detailed with it, you could go in and add a rig to it so you can control it manually, which might be the easier option sometimes. So anyways, let's just move her over just a little, and then we'll grab her hand controls, bring those down. Now, one thing you might notice, if you bring these two characters in here, you could very well could lose, and it looks like we did, the rig layers. Now, you can't just click the layer there to turn the hands on, or the legs, or whatever. The controls are gone. However, you can still do it here in the rig skeleton layers. You just have to know what's on what layer. So, anyway, so right now, we'll just bring her arm down there, so it's just hanging to her side. And then this arm is going to be around Tim's waist. So we'll just bring that in there. And then let's rotate the fingers, scale them down just a little, just to give them a little bit of a curve. Okay, and then let's turn on the rotate manipulator right there and set the orientation to normal, or yeah, that's right. Okay, and then we'll rotate on the x-axis, which would be the red. Scale that down just a little bit. There we go. Tell you what, I'm going to turn the layer off that has the individual finger bones on it, which I believe is that one. Yes, this layer right there. Okay, and we'll go ahead and rotate this one. Maybe scale that down just a little bit and rotate it back out. Okay, so he's got her hand on his waist now. Now let's rotate her head a little bit, kind of tilt to the side, kind of leaning in, and give a nice, pretty smile. Show those pearly whites. And let's bring the smile up into the eyes and maybe raise the eyebrows just a little bit. She happy. Yay. She's with her Tim. Okay, go ahead and save this. And hopefully, okay, now with Tim, I guess, yeah, he's got some shape keys on that very first frame, so everything's going to be reset that we did. So we'll just back up all the way to the first frame and hit Alt-I to delete all the keyframes, and now we can edit that and not have to worry about it changing by accident. So let's go ahead and scale that back up like we had it, about like right there, maybe a little smaller, fit within the hands that we put around there. There we go. Okay. And now let's pose Tim to be interacting with Elizabeth. So we'll put his left hand on her shoulder. So which layer is that on? Is it this one? Yes. Okay. And go ahead and just rotate that around. And then turn on the, not that layer, not that layer. There we go. Finger controls. Rotate those down to where they're resting lightly. Oops. And then rotate. And let's go ahead and rotate that middle finger a little bit more. If I can grab it, there we go. Okay, so and we'll put this hand down to his side as well, and then we'll make him kind of lean in, and he's smiling as well. He's got his Elizabeth. They're so happy. Yay. Okay, so now we'll go ahead and save this, and let's set up our camera and our lights now. Let's go ahead and just go into our top view to put our 3D cursor there, Shift A. Actually, we have, the last thing we had selected was part of the armature, so let's select just a non-armature item, camera for example, and now we'll go to top view, Shift A, and now we have the option to add an empty. So go ahead and add that and scale it way up so we can grab it easily. We'll grab the camera, Shift select the new empty, Control T, track to constraint. And now we'll position that so we can tell the camera exactly where to point without having to try to fuss with rotating it around. Okay, so we got the camera set. Now let's have them looking at the camera. So we'll grab their look at targets there and drag it towards the camera. There we go. And grab hers. There we go. Go to our side view, make sure it's vertically the same as well. Oops. There, and well, if I can grab the right one, there we go. Okay, so now if we look through the camera, they're looking right at us. They're looking right for us, right at us. Okay, so now we need to get some lighting set up. So let's grab the lamp there, Set it to a spotlight, buffer shadows. Because we have the hair, we need to use the buffer shadows for it to look good. So we're going to move that into position up here. Rotate it over. Okay. And let's go ahead and set some of the settings up here. Remember, the bias needs to be really low for the hair particles to look good. So let's set that to let's make it 0.05. And everything else should probably be fine. And let's go ahead and give it a little bit of ambient occlusion, about 0.25. Go ahead and save this, and let's set the background to kind of a nice gradation, kind of a grayish, greenish blue tone, a little darker than that, about like so. Fading to blend, actually, yeah, blend sky. Have it set, fading to black. There we go. Okay, so we'll go ahead and save this. Look through our camera. Go and save. Make sure all of our hair particles are turned on for render. Good to go. Good to go. All right. So I'll go ahead and render this at, let's render at 1280 by 720. A nice HD render. Go ahead and save one more time. And I'll hit render, and I want to do it in a new window. Save, 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 save. And I'll go ahead and hit render, and I'll pause recording so you don't have to sit here and watch, and we'll be right back. Okay, and here's the final render. As you can see here, it took about 1 minute and 43 seconds. Now, looks okay for the most part, but as you can see, part of her skin is coming through the shirt right there, which is highly undesirable. So let's go ahead and try to fix that up. Tell you what, let's grab her and her rig. Let's come out of the camera view. Let's grab her rig, go back to object mode on that. And let's go ahead and drop that down to, I want to put it on, let's put Tim over on this left side for the layers, and then put Elizabeth over on this right side. So Tim and all of his corresponding clothes and controls and everything will be over here. Elizabeth will be over here. Just for orderliness sake, they don't have to be there, but it's easier to distinguish between the two if they are separated. So let's go ahead and put that there, and then grab her and her eyeballs and move those to the top right there, and then we'll put her clothing items and the shoes. Go ahead and put those on that layer there. Now remember, if you go to animate her and you want the dynamic cloth on her dress, you have to make sure that the dress is on the same layer as the deforming items, which will be like her legs and things like that. So yeah, make sure you do that if you go to animate. So now we'll go ahead and put Tim's rig on this layer down here, and then all of his clothes, the shirt, tie, vest, pants, and shoes will go to this layer there. And they, like I said, they don't have to be on separate layers, but I like to separate them out just for orderliness sake. Now, Elizabeth, her skin, her body was coming through the shirt mesh a little bit there. Let's go ahead and turn subsurf on so we can see that a little more real world. Grab the shirt, do the same thing. Okay, so let's see what we can do to fix that up. Now I tell you what might be the issue. Some of the automatic weight paint like from the arm bending down, that might have an effect there on that. So let's go to weight paint mode, and then we'll go ahead and turn on the layer that has her rig. And I guess let's come out of weight paint mode, grab her rig, make sure it's in pose mode. I was going to say object mode, but it needs to be in pose mode. And let's turn on the layer, the bone layer that has the actual bone deformers right there. And now I'll go ahead and grab her skin again and grab the weight paint and select that. And yeah, you can see a little bit of a light blue, and that means there's some of that is being controlled by that. So let's, we got weight paint selected. Let's go ahead and go to subtract. And make sure x-axis mirror is turned on, yes. And let's go ahead and just paint in here. And you can see that's kind of popping that back into place. So tell you what, let's turn off subsurf for now so we can paint more easily on there. And pretty much get all of that off of her torso and shoulders. Because the only thing that really needs to control is the arms. So there we go. And then the right side should have the same thing. Okay, so now if we turn subsurf back on, that's now beneath her clothing line. So there we go. That's the way to fix some of that kind of stuff sometimes. Okay, so now we just turn on these top layers here, and we can turn off the rig layers. Don't need those. And tell you what, another thing for orderliness, go ahead and grab the camera and its target and the lamp. Go ahead and move that. I like to put that on the far right top corner. That's just my preference, but make sure you turn that on when you go to render. Go ahead and save. And one other thing I noticed in the render, if I hit F11, the subsurf, or not the subsurf, but the ambient occlusion is kind of grainy in the shadows. So let's go ahead and fix that. And the way we do that is go to our world settings, and under the gather, right now it's set to ray trace. The samples are 5, and that's why it's grainy, because the samples are set to 5. Now if we bump that up to say 10, oops, 10, there we go, it'll look a lot better. So let's go ahead and save this, and let me take one more look at that render, see if there's anything else we can do. Let's move our light a little more around toward the front, so it's lighting more directly from the front. So look at the top view, oops, grab just the lamp and rotate that around about like so. Okay, so now we will do a final render. So go ahead and save that, hit F12, and I'll be right back with the result. And ladies and gentlemen, meet Tim and Elizabeth, the final render of the two characters together. So we're going to call this part 21 done, and I think there's one or two more things I want to cover, so there will still be a part 22, maybe a 23. We'll see what happens, but this is going to be it for the actual modeling and creation, and you now have two separate characters that you created from one base character. So that being said, I'm going to call this one done, and thank you for watching as of yet, and I'll see you in the next final one, or the next few final ones. So again, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.